All right, I'm going to take advantage of the rebroadcast here to do a second tape. I think I was just too distant from the mic, and I have a new mic. So my goal here is to give a little bit of insight into these shows. Yeah, I guess perhaps as a judge's tape may sound, but I could, in fact, go off in tangents from time to time, hopefully of interest to you, but we'll find out, I guess. I'm still not with the best of production techniques, so I apologize in advance, but I wanted to get started and stop making excuses for why I was not in action. So here I am. Crossmen, crosswalking. I think my guess and the little few conversations here and there, I think the intention here was not to have a show that was steeped in storyline and the necessity of understanding, as some other folks have programmed. Crosswalking obviously takes the word cross and gives you an idea, something they felt they could play with, I think, right off the gate. You can see the crosswalk across the front sideline, or just off the front sideline. And I just noticed the one in the back sideline, actually. I actually never noticed that before. I mean, as we proceed, I may as well speak about it now while we're waiting. The one to the front is a bit of a concern because it does inadvertently, I think, push the core back that, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet, whatever that is. Probably more than that, more like 15 to 20 feet. And everything moves back. You know, the center of the field is now like key turf. There is an opportunity. And they take advantage of one right out of the gate here. Certainly anyone that lives in a city or any kind of town really is familiar with that sound as you sit at an intersection. Walk on by if you're old enough to know that tune. I think Dionne Warwick, if I remember. I like the roll of the color guard there, kind of moves him into the slot in front of the crosswalk. Kind of a restage there. I think an inadvertent issue, which should not really be a scoring issue, but it is an at-home issue, is that where the mics are placed is not where the core is placed. At times, more so than other groups. So that you don't get the at-home audio impact, I think, that you might normally get. You can see where those mics are. how deep and how far to the side one the core is. Yeah, you can hear the issues. Yeah, I mean, that's going to work when it's clean, when it's together. And as the trumpets moved along, it just pretty much came out of time. Not easy to do. Yeah, the chorus, not always, but many a year has taken on a bit of a jazz context, which adds a whole nother level of challenge, especially for younger folks. Issues again. Yeah, there's a lot of exposure. I have no idea age of the young men and women in the corps, but the constant attune in and of itself is exposed from almost beginning to end, and we don't do a great job. The clutter begins. We don't really ever get a true handle of that. It's going to be a lot of work coming down the stretch here. Like the opening of the form here. Certainly brings my attention to center stage. Color guard in the middle. Good. Yeah, nice. Good little idea. Yep. Good. And square dance. Brubeck. Yep. Not too sure about the prop. I'm sure I'm missing what it's supposed to be. But pretty good job there, Toms. Kind of came out from the keys, or the keys got ahead of the toms. Yeah, we're like segmentalized in terms of our staging. Good job, bass drums. It makes it difficult to get a sonority across the ensemble. Not a whole lot happening from a visual standpoint through here. We had a nice little stage opening there at around the 50. Walk on by. Okay, more like a characterization here than anything. Decrescendo in the tubas. Everybody gets back to position. Okay, a little tag ending gives the bass drums another opportunity. I think last night I commented about the color guard having a tough time. Last night for me, but the first tape I did, and as I see the crosswalks moving, I guess it was pretty windy, particularly at the beginning of this show last night. Something to consider, however. I'm sure you'll have other shows over the next couple weeks where the wind's an issue. I once can't remember the year, we had tarps in the cadets where the wind was unbelievable. I actually ended up standing on the field. Probably should have been penalized, just trying to hold them down so they didn't take the core out. You do not want to relive that for me. Good control, snares. Whole core backfield. Small group. Okay, running to restage, I guess. I guess we'll call. Yeah. You see, this is not a wind issue for the color guard. This is just timing issues. Just the rotation of the flags is better there, but prior to, and then again, seriously a problem. So I don't know if we're adding in new people. I don't know if we changed work. I don't know. I just know what I see. Okay, the extension of the cord certainly gives you some impact. That said, just in terms of the structure, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit because I've seen you a few times. But just the structure is not, there's not a creation of a line that leads us to impact. We don't have development to impact. We have development, and we actually have arrivals, but they're not generating the impact that I think you would want. Some of it's visual. We're not moving very much. We're very, very conservative in how we move. And that does not help in terms of generating impact. You can see now the crosswalks are causing a problem over on side 2. Thank God we got away from there at least. Kind of an opportunity for percussion through there with the impact or. And we bring back the crosswalk voiceover, I guess we'll call it. Okay. It's kind of. I don't know how many of those I want, but I just realized we had the beginning, then we just had that across the signal, automated voice. Hey, pretty good move there, moving into the arc and then the straight line and then back to the double line for a final impact. But it's a good example. We just kind of arrived there. There was no setup. There was no visual. There was no generation of activity that had us anticipating an arrival, kind of generating the excitement before you actually get to where you want to get, if that makes some sense. We just kind of get there. It's like the old story. It's not the company front that gets them up. It's how you arrived at that company front. And I think more than anything, particularly from an effects standpoint, it's the pacing of the show, the pacing from one scene to the next that's causing things to lay a little bit flat for you. There is definitely work to be done with the brass line and the color guard. And again, I'm going to pass off some of this to the wind. But there were other times where people were just not performing at a level that they should be at this time of year. Percussion seemed pretty strong. I didn't really. There's some front and back stuff. Yeah, I think that's probably more the keyboards. I mean, it could be the percussion line slowing down a bit, but normally my experience is it's the keys, whether they can't hear back or they're not listening back or something of that sort. But I couldn't tell you from up here. So lots of work to be done. I totally got the idea. I don't know if we investigated the idea as well as maybe we could have. That would be in question. But at this point, I think it's play better, march better, color guard better, and make sure you can figure out this crosswalk thing so they stay on that field. Because I get it, it's probably windy at this stadium on this night, but we all know it can happen almost anywhere except in the dome. So you're safe in the domes. But other than that, I'd be a little concerned. All right, guys, thank you so much.